Hello, this is my reaction video for the third week of class where we talk about measurement. And I really like these papers for a lot of different reasons. One is that they really urge me to think carefully about what construct validity is. And I think Giancola and Schermak did a good job about really talking about the importance of thinking about construct validity and its importance to the measurement of aggressive behavior. How, although we are measuring aggression in different forms, what we're trying to do is really get to the essence of our definition of the construct, which is, any behavior that's intended to harm another person who's motivated to avoid the harm. So you can do this in lots of different ways, as long as you're doing that, you are measuring aggression. Now this raises another question about the costs and benefits of each approach, and we've talked a lot about that. And I think the paper that we published in Aggressive Behavior kind of goes through each of these paradigms and talks about each one, and in particular about some of the costs and the benefits and the different worlds in which aggression researchers live now, both worlds in terms of sort of person-to-person testing within a laboratory setting, and also in the virtual world and some of the limitations that we have there. And so for me, one thing that I was thinking about was how some of these paradigms could be used slightly differently, but still measure aggression, and what that would tell us about the construct that's being measured, what would be better or what would be worse. So for example, in the voodoo doll task, so it makes sense to start the way that we did, I think, where people are stabbing the doll with pins, and so they think that psychologically there's this connection between stabbing a doll and inflicting harm on the doll. And so it sort of made sense to use that as a starting point for measuring aggressive inclinations. And we have some reason to believe that I think that the evidence suggests at least a little bit that there's some construct validity there, and it's a reliable measure as well. But there's another way that you could go about looking at responses on the voodoo doll test that could also measure aggression, but it'd be a very different type of aggression. So imagine, instead of seeing a voodoo doll and you can stab the doll with a different amount of pins, the voodoo doll already has 51 pins in it, so it's already been stabbed to the limit, and you get an opportunity to extract pins from the doll. So you, in essence, you get to you can make it so that the person who's represented in the doll by the doll, either a friend or a spouse or just a stranger, a partner, that this person is suffering right now, and you can actually reduce their suffering by removing these pins, or you can choose not to do that. So in this way, the task could function both as a measure of pro-social behavior if you're removing these pins, but also a measure of aggressive behavior where you're keeping the pins in. But then there are problems with that, right? So if I keep the pins in, well, I didn't put them in to begin with, and so am I really behaving aggressively? So I am still doing something that's causing harm, and I'm done so intentionally. I'm causing harm to someone else who's motivated to avoid it, but I didn't set the ball rolling. Now this opens up another big can of worms, where does it really matter? Do you have to be the first person in line, or do you are you still able to measure aggression? Is it still aggression if you're sort of entering in the middle? So for example, in the bug killing paradigm, which I think is pretty creative, what if we change things around so that another person has done some killing before me, and then I sort of step in and I can do some additional killing, or I can remove the bugs who are set to be killed. So is that still aggression? Well, yes and no, and so these are just some things that I was sort of thinking about, and it gets to the heart of why it's important to think carefully about different ways that we're measuring aggression, but also the complexities of it and why it's so hard. So I can't wait to talk to you guys more about this tomorrow.